You sit alone in the freezing darkness of the savanna, watching the flickering firelight of the tribe that just banished you. The cold wind bites your skin as you realize your survival now ends because of a simple social mistake. What did ancient humans actually consider so foolish that it warranted a death sentence by exile? Was stupidity a failure of intelligence, or was it something entirely different? You probably think of stupidity as failing a difficult academic test. You picture forgetting a complex mathematical formula in a perfectly quiet classroom. You imagine a modern slip of the mind that costs you a lucrative corporate promotion or a vital passing grade. But the real answer is far stranger. To your rugged hunter-gatherer ancestors living 50,000 years ago, intellect was never about abstract puzzle solving or rapid mental calculation. It was entirely about reading the invisible, constantly shifting web of social debts and recognizing subtle emotional changes in your peers. Why do you think trivial gossip still feels so incredibly urgent to your nervous system today? The modern world measures human smarts in total isolation. A recognized genius sits alone in a quiet room, taking a standardized test to mathematically prove their worth to society. Your ancient ancestors would have viewed that deeply isolated genius as a severe biological liability. For 99.9% of human history, hoarding vital resources or acting arrogantly was the absolute ultimate display of true idiocy. Imagine a highly skilled human hunter taking down a massive, calorie-rich bison on the frozen, windswept steppe. He decides to secretly keep the prime, fatty cuts of meat for himself, rather than feeding the weaker, older members of his band. Is that solitary hunter actually smart for securing his own immediate, short-term survival at the great expense of his peers? Evolution had a different plan. The evolutionary anthropologist Christopher Bohm spent decades rigorously studying the complex social dynamics of traditional foraging tribes around the entire globe. He discovered that early human societies systematically enforced a state of radical equality through relentless mockery, dark humor, and highly targeted teasing. If you bragged too loudly about your incredible tracking abilities, the tribe would brutally mock your hard-won catch to deliberately shrink your growing ego. They referred to this crucial psychological leveling mechanism as shaming the meat. You might think modern self-promotion on a digital profile is just harmless personal confidence. Your body doesn't know the difference. To an ancient, finely tuned primate brain, unchecked arrogance was a glaring warning flare, signaling a highly dangerous, inherently unstable group member. What happens when a particular group member becomes too dangerously selfish to tolerate anymore? They were quietly exiled into the unforgiving, starless night. It was the absolute ancient equivalent of receiving a sudden, inevitably fatal medical diagnosis. To survive the brutally long winters of the Pleistocene epoch, you desperately needed 30 pairs of eyes to constantly watch for stalking cave lions hidden in the tall grass. You relied heavily on the deep collective memory of the tribal elders to locate hidden subterranean water holes during a devastating multi-year drought. Stupidity was not the frustrating physical inability to perfectly nap a symmetrical flint hand axe. It was the catastrophic, blinding failure to understand that your individual survival was a complete and utter hallucination. How could one fragile, hairless primate possibly hope to outsmart a frozen, predator-filled continent completely alone? You cannot hunt a towering woolly mammoth by yourself, no matter how exceptionally clever you think you are. You cannot defend a fresh kill from a hungry pack of dire wolves without a dozen trusted spears standing firmly at your back. True ancient stupidity was blindly falling for the fatal, seductive illusion of complete independence. But here is the twist. Modern capitalist society actively rewards the exact selfish behaviors that would have absolutely gotten you killed 40,000 years ago. You are systematically trained from early childhood to amass infinite personal wealth in private bank accounts. You are constantly taught to aggressively elevate yourself above the surrounding crowd to secure a safer, much more comfortable future. The relentless, lonely pursuit of individual status is now universally celebrated as the absolute peak of modern intelligence. Do you see the terrifying, silent paradox unfolding inside your own mind right now?
Your biology is desperately begging for a tightly knit, fiercely interdependent community of equals. Your culture is ruthlessly pushing you toward a state of solitary, highly competitive dominance. You feel perpetually anxious, completely exhausted, and strangely isolated because you are succeeding brilliantly by modern metrics, yet failing completely by ancient ancestral ones. Your primitive brain is literally interpreting your independent financial success as a guaranteed one-way ticket to permanent tribal exile. You are surrounded by millions of total strangers in a sprawling, concrete city. Yet your nervous system remains entirely convinced you have been forcefully cast out of the protective circle for forgetting how to share your vital resources. Can you finally feel that ancient, primal panic humming quietly beneath your proudest modern achievements? You have completely mastered a strangely inverted world that rewards everything your ancestors actively punished. You possess endless imported calories, perfect indoor climate control, and towering, invisible walls of immense digital prestige. You have successfully built an impenetrable, perfectly secure empire of one. You sit alone in the freezing darkness of the savanna, watching the flickering firelight of the tribe that just banished you.